Well, I'm a lawyer from Philadelphia, Ed, that comes over here to Italy and finds that Sophia has latched on to my brother's young son.
And the American here doesn't like the way I'm raising the boy, so he wants to take him away.
In the golden age of Hollywood, few love stories shined as brightly or ended as tragically as that of Clark Gable and Carole Lombard. He was the king of Hollywood, a ruggedly handsome leading man whose on-screen charisma was matched only by his off-screen magnetism. She was the queen of Screwball Comedy, a vivacious blonde with a quick wit and an infectious laugh. Join us as we unveil the tragic, true story of Carole Lombard and Clark Gable's romance. A match made in heaven. In the glittering world of 1930s Hollywood, Clark Gable and Carole Lombard were two of the brightest stars. Gable, with his smoldering good looks and undeniable charisma, had already earned the title of King of Hollywood. Lombard, a vivacious blonde with a quick wit, was the queen of screwball comedies. Their paths first crossed in 1932 on the set of No Man of Her Own. But at that time, the sparks that later ignited their legendary romance were not yet apparent. At the time, both Gable and Lombard were married to others, Gable to Texas socialite Rhea Langham and Lombard to actor William Powell. On set, Gable found Lombard's boisterous, unrestrained personality off-putting, while Lombard was put off by Gable's reserved nature. They clashed, trading barbs and jibes between takes. When filming wrapped, Gable presented Lombard with a pair of oversized ballet slippers as a joke about her inflated ego. Never one to be outdone, Lombard gifted Gable a ham with his picture on it, a snarky commentary on his acting skills. It seemed unlikely that these two strong personalities would ever be more than reluctant co-stars. But fate had other plans. 4 years later, in 1936, Gable and Lombard found themselves thrown together again at the famed White Mayfair Ball. Gable, now separated from his wife, couldn't take his eyes off Lombard, who was a vision in a shimmering gown. They danced together that night, and this time the chemistry was undeniable. They began spending more and more time together, discovering that beneath their differences lay a shared passion for life, laughter, and each other. Gable, the rugged outdoorsman, was drawn to Lombard's fearless spirit and unaffected charm. She could match him in hunting and fishing, unafraid to get her hands dirty. Lombard, in turn, was captivated by Gable's masculinity and the tender heart he hid beneath his tough exterior. They embarked on a thrilling, scandalous romance, caring little for the fact that Gable was still legally married or that the press tracked their every move. Their first public appearance together, at the funeral of Gable's dear friend Jean Harlow in 1937, sent shockwaves through Hollywood. MGM studio head Louis B. Mayer was furious at Gable for flaunting his extramarital affair, while Lombard's studio Paramount feared the damage to her good girl image. But Gable and Lombard were too in love to care. They continued seeing each other, discretion be damned, until Gable's wife Rhea finally agreed to a divorce in 1939. No sooner had the ink dried on the papers than Gable and Lombard eloped in a private ceremony, with only Gable's press agent Otto Winkler as a witness. The king had found his queen, and Hollywood would never be the same. Happily ever after? With their whirlwind courtship and elopement behind them, Clark Gable and Carole Lombard settled into married life with all the passion and intensity that characterized their romance. They purchased a ranch in Encino, California, a sprawling property that offered them the privacy and seclusion they craved away from the prying eyes of Hollywood. There, they transformed the 20-acre estate into their personal paradise, complete with horses, chickens, and a menagerie of beloved pets. To the outside world, the Gables seemed to have it all: a fairy tale love, successful careers, and a picture-perfect home. They hosted lavish parties for their famous friends, filling the ranch with laughter, music, and the clinking of cocktail glasses. Lombard, ever the prankster, delighted in playing jokes on their guests, while Gable presided over the festivities with his signature charm. They called each other Ma and Pa, a nod to the domestic bliss they had created together. But behind closed doors, even the most perfect-seeming marriage had its cracks. Gable, despite his love for Lombard, was a notorious womanizer, and his eye often wandered to his leading ladies. Lombard, fiercely loyal and deeply in love, was not one to turn a blind eye to her husband's indiscretions. Quote, "My God, you know how I love Pa, but I can't say he's a hell of a good lay." She also yearned for a child, but suffered a devastating miscarriage early in their marriage that left her heartbroken and Gable grappling with his own grief and guilt. Despite these challenges, Gable and Lombard's love remained the center of their world. Lombard began to pull back from her acting career, determined to focus on her role as Mrs. Clark Gable. She threw herself into supporting her husband as he reached new heights of fame with Gone with the Wind, even as she privately wrestled with the sacrifices she had made for their marriage. Through it all, their bond only seemed to grow stronger, a testament to the unwavering love and devotion they shared. An American Patriot. As the 1940s dawned and the specter of World War II loomed large, Carole Lombard found herself increasingly drawn to the cause of her country. The actress, known for her vivacious spirit and love of life, was deeply moved by the sacrifices of those serving in the armed forces. With characteristic passion and determination, she announced to her studio, Paramount Pictures, that she'd be putting her acting career on hold to dedicate herself to the war effort. Her first step was to volunteer with the American Red Cross, where she threw herself into her duties with the same energy she brought to her film roles. She knitted socks and rolled bandages, organized care packages for soldiers overseas, and used her celebrity status to raise awareness and funds for the cause. She was hailed as a true American patriot. In January 1942, she was offered the opportunity to take her commitment to the next level. She was asked to embark on a war bonds tour, leveraging her star power to encourage Americans to invest in their country's future. The tour reached its apex in Lombard's home state of Indiana, where she spent a grueling day rallying the crowds and signing war bonds. The tour raised a staggering $2 million that single day. Exhausted but elated, she was eager to return home to Gable and share the news of her success. In a fateful decision, she insisted on taking a plane back to LA, despite the concerns of her traveling companions and the warnings of her studio. A love story cut short. In the evening of January 16, 1942, the plane carrying Carole Lombard, her mother, and Otto Winkler crashed into the mountainside near Las Vegas, killing all 22 passengers on board. The news of the tragedy sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the nation. But for Clark Gable, the loss was a devastating blow that would forever change him. He was inconsolable. He retreated to their ranch, where memories of Lombard lingered in every room. In the years that followed, his health began to decline, exacerbated by heavy drinking and the weight of his grief. He passed away in 1960, just days after suffering a massive heart attack. He was laid to rest beside Lombard at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Clark Gable and Carole Lombard? Let us know in the comments section below.